Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of my 5 takeaways from the SEC Week 9. Please give me a follow at MatthewMS97 on Twitter or X. Let's jump into it. My 5 takeaways. Mark Stoops fired. So Mark Stoops since 2020, 5-6 in 2020, 10-3 in 21, 22 7-6, 23 7-6, 24. He is currently 3-5, fighting to make a bowl game. He can only lose one game, he can lose one more game the rest of the year and make a bowl game. Now, Kentucky is not a great football program. That is an understatement, obviously. But you have to shoot for your ceiling. And right now, Kentucky is not living up to that ceiling. They have too much talent on the defensive side of the ball, especially. But then you have Berrien Brown on offense, decent offensive line, or a good enough offensive line, I should say, with Brock Vandergriff at quarterback, who, listen, is he great? No, but can he live up to some of his scrambling ability a little bit more? Yes, I believe so. I just think his time has come there. I think this comes for everyone, whether it's in life, at a job, whether it's in life and dying, whether it's in life at, like I said, a job, but that's what this is as a head football coach. It's your job to get the most out of your team. I currently think he does not do that. So I do believe Kentucky should move on here. I don't know why you wouldn't. I think 7-6, 7-6 is reasonable. I think that's what they are as a program. I think 7-6, 8-4 is what you can get to in a decade. Let's say you go 7-6 or 8-4 8 or 9 times. Then you have 10-3 year, and then you have 1 year like this. I think that'd be acceptable. The problem is it is trending downward. I don't see a 10-3 next year with this team with the recruiting they currently have. You lose a lot of these guys to the NFL. I think someone will jump in the transfer portal as well to up their draft stock. So I just think his time has come here at Kentucky. Now, I will say this. Do not make a rash decision and fire him without his successor in place. We see this a lot of the times. We got to get rid of this guy, so we get rid of him, and then there is no one worthy of taking this job. I don't know who would be worthy as a Kentucky fan base. I'm not that dialed in as a fan base to know who you guys want, who you guys could get and stuff like that, but make sure you have the successor in place to take over Mark Stoops because this thing can get worse. Remember, before Mark Stoops, this was a 2-10, 3-9 team. So it can get to that point again. He has made progress. Build off of that progress. Do not take steps back off that progress. Hire the right guy. Make sure he's in place before you fire Mark Stoops. And I think Mark Stoops is honestly checked out. We saw that. He wanted the A&M job. He was on a plane. The plane turned around, and I don't think he wanted to come back to Kentucky. But who's going to turn down $10 million a year? Not him. So it's going to be very interesting what happens there, but I think it is time to part ways with Mark Stoops. Next up, A&M and OU quarterback situations. Let's start with Oklahoma. Oklahoma has the guy. Michael Hawkins is not the answer. Jackson Arnold is. Michael Hawkins will probably transfer now. I think Michael Hawkins is a solid player. Let's be honest. He's not an SEC quarterback, or at least not a high-level one. I do believe Jackson Arnold has the ceiling to be that. Do I think he is that currently? Absolutely not. But Seth Littrell, my dude, should be fired into the sun. Oklahoma fans should find and fire him into the sun because that man committed crimes against humanity with the offense he ran versus the offense that works with Jackson Arnold. That was more of a Jeff Lebby system with that they ran yesterday versus Ole Miss. Seth Littrell, what the hell were you doing? So they did find the guy. Now, can you get him some help? Can you develop some offensive linemen, get him in place to protect the guy? He does have good mobility, but he's not like a great athlete. He's a good athlete, but he's not a great athlete. So get him some better offensive linemen, get those wide receivers healthy, and I think they'll be fine. A&M, Marcel Reed, your guy. Doesn't turn the ball over. Completion percentage is actually better than Connor Wegman, and Connor Wegman's just not that good. Connor Wegman has had 2 great games at A&M. Miami versus a bad defense, and then versus Missouri, which is also it is the most overrated team in the SEC. I would go with Marcel Reed. I actually believe if you go with Connor Wegman, you're going to lose a game like Auburn or South Carolina. If you go with Marcel Reed, you could lose it, but I'd feel more confident that you don't because you do have a good enough defense to carry you a certain amount. So go with the guy that does not turn the ball over to give the other team more possessions. That's what I would do if I was Mike Elko, but who am I to question him? He's done a pretty damn good job at A&M so far. Number 3, Lane Kiffin would be dumb to hire Florida would be dumb to hire Lane Kiffin. Name me Lane Kiffin's best win at Ole Miss. That's what I thought. It's his best win at Ole Miss is the LSU game when LSU had no defense. It was a shootout at home. You barely win that football game. Not a good enough win to hire him. He's not consistent on a year in and year out basis. We're talking about a guy that I believe has never gone back-to-back over 8-4. He's going to do that this year, but he should have done better. this team should be in a college football playoff. They have to beat Georgia, and that I just don't see happening. Could it happen? I guess it could. But to me, if Georgia plays defensively like they did versus Texas, Jackson Dart's going to be in hell. And I think Quinn Ewers is better than Jackson Dart. So it's going to be very interesting, especially if they can't get Trey Harris back. You just got to get a better coach. To me, I think Florida fans would agree with this. If your goal is to win a national championship, Lane Kiffin is not the answer. Can he win you 9 to 10 games? Yes, but you're never going to win a national championship with Lane Kiffin as your head coach, period. It's just not going to happen. So if that is your goal, then wait for someone or find the right guy. But until then, I would just hang on to Billy Napier because, listen, Lane Kiffin, yeah, he'll give you 9-10 wins, but he's going to blue ball you more than anyone. He'll get you to 9-10. He's not giving you that national championship. It's not going to happen. So find a better coach, find a better guy to lead your program. We'll see what happens there, though. They may not heed my warning, but we'll see. Number 4 has to do with these boys that I have the flags hanging up of. What the hell has gone wrong with the offensive line? About 3 weeks ago, I went in or I said on the show, I think Texas is one of the best offensive lines ever in college football. Boy, was I wrong. Kelvin Banks, still great. He had a good game again. Jake Majors playing really well. Hayden Connor, who actually I thought was the weak point going into the season, has played well at the left guard position. DJ Campbell and Cam Williams have cost themselves boatloads of money. DJ Campbell is probably going to be a 3rd or 4th round draft pick. Cam Williams was going to be a 1st round draft pick 2 weeks ago before the Georgia game. Cam Williams isn't a 1st round draft pick anymore. I think Cam Williams is probably a 3rd round draft pick at this point. I think DJ Campbell is probably a 4th or 5th round draft pick after being probably a 2nd or 3rd round draft pick. They have cost themselves boatloads of money, whether that be poor execution, poor footwork, poor hand placement, or committing pre-snap or during the snap penalties, which Cam Williams just continues to do. You're going to get 1 to 2 of those a game guaranteed. You might as well just get them out of the way in the first quarter and be like, here's 2 flags for Cam Williams to push you back 30 yards, and there. You don't have to deal with the rest of the game because that's what he's going to get. So Texas has to solve that because last week, this week, I saw Quinn Ewers play with confidence. I saw him step up in the pocket. I saw him step up into certain throws. Still needs to get better with it. And the offensive line just completely let him down. Multiple blitzes right up the middle. That almost got him killed, honestly, and committed 2 turnovers. We committed 2 turnovers and 2 interceptions because of it. The second one was a more on Quinn Ewers. The first one was not his fault at all. So the offensive line has to get better with their execution. And if we don't solve that, this team's not going to win anything of significance. Yeah, they'll go 9-3, 10-2. They'll probably make the playoff, but I don't care. I want to get to the Final Four again. That is the goal for this team. That is the goal I set out. The goal was a Final Four appearance. Anything on top of that was icing on the cake, in my opinion. But if they don't get to the Final Four, this is a failed season. They are one of the 4 or 5 most talented teams in college football. That's where they should be at the end of the season. Kyle Flood, get it figured out, my dude. Number 5, Arkansas is the biggest wild card in the SEC. They get blown out by LSU. They beat Tennessee. They blow out Mississippi State, who I think is getting better. I don't know what to go with this team. They have committed 600 yards. They've gotten 600 yards on offense, I believe, 3 games this year, which is insane. I think it's the most by any team in college football. Jalen Green is either Heisman worthy or terrible. There's no in between with the guy. There's never like, man, he looks okay. No, he either looks great or he looks bad. And to me, they scare me as a Texas fan because they have an A game and we don't, they will beat us. But if they have like a C game, we could just absolutely skull drag them. So it's going to be very interesting. I could have put Vanderbilt in this category too. I think these are the 2 biggest wild cards in the SEC. They can compete with the big boys, but they can also get blown out by the big boys. They can blow out the little guys. They can also compete with the little guys. They are right in the middle of the SEC. I don't know what to do with them, what to think of them on a week in and week out basis, but that is my 5th takeaway, and those are my 5 takeaways from the SEC. I really appreciate you guys being here. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. And remember, you can always catch us on Tuesdays at 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern time with my boy Tyler. There's his Twitter. Here's my Twitter. And again, hit that like and subscribe. I'm here every week dropping the power rankings and my 5 takeaways. And then we do the live show. Thank you, everybody, for being here and checking out. Share it and subscribe.